Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and as always, I hope you're doing super fantastic. I am, and I've something that I have wanted to do, but I just never really have. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I've really got to do that. And you may have is the sensory deprivation tanks. And if you're not familiar with them, they are tanks with water, and the water is basically your body temperature, and they are highly salinated. They got a lot of salt, so that you are more buoyant. The more salt, the more buoyant the water you are in the water. And the point is so that it's heavily salted, so that way you float in the water, giving you a sense of weightlessness, and so that you don't really touch anything. And the water, of course, is your body's temperature, so you don't notice that. And then it's completely in the dark, so I mean, it's like completely can't see your hand in front of your face, dark. And also, it is sealed, soundproof. You can't hear anything, so therefore you can't hear anything, can't see anything, can't feel anything, right? And obviously, it's up to you whether you smell or taste anything. So it's like, don't eat or drink anything beforehand, so you don't have any lingering taste in your mouth. Don't wear any scents, any cologne or perfume or whatever, so that you don't smell anything. And while you are in these tanks, it's completely just no. All your senses are completely blocked off. And the fascinating thing about that is, well, first of all, you could definitely get into a very, I would say, the meditative states that you could achieve in those tanks would be pretty epic. I mean, really. I mean, those meditative states would be pretty amazing. But also, it really, to me, it's fascinating because our physical world, our reality that we experience right now, is dependent on those five senses, right? All our information that we gather, all the data that we collect with our five senses, that's then processed through the computer of the brain, and then and so that way our higher self, our true self, that's not on the inside here, it's on the outside, jacked in to here through the brain, is that that's the go between our reality that we experience through the five senses and our true higher self, our mind on the outside of this. You see, outside of mind, really, there is nothing. And I know that's getting off the subject a little bit, but it's like when we remove all those five senses, it's like, what are you left with? Right? You're only left with your mind. And I know a lot of materialists will say, well, Matt, yeah, but the mind is just that squishy material in between your ears. I mean, I'm just going to have to disagree. We're just too far apart. So I'm not going to try to convince a materialist of any hermetic principles, like the hermetic principle of all exists in the mind of the all, right? And the universe is mental, meaning the universe, everything we know that exists, is held within the mind, the mental state of the all, right? And we are all just imagined. We're all creations of the all, the universal consciousness, as I like to call it personally. But it is exploring its own self. It basically woke up in a sensory deprivation tank. It woke up with no use of the no five senses, and realized, I exist. I am mind, and what can I do with this? That's why, as I've said so many times, that's why I am is such a powerful statement. It's when you wake up with no use of five senses, and all you are is just a pure mind. And you're like, wow, I am. I mean, I'm thinking. Let me see what I can think up, and start creating, imagining things. And I think just naturally curiosity would, if nothing else, like, I've got to explore this. I mean, that would, the sensory deprivation tanks to me would would give us a glimpse into that state, would give us a glimpse into what would it be like to wake up and just be like, okay, there's nothing except I know that I am mind. I am thinking. Therefore, I must exist. And I mean, maybe just out of pure boredom, just start creating, right? Start creating in its mind. And I mean, we can't begin to comprehend the mind of the all. We can't begin to comprehend the universal consciousness and the expanse, just the how huge it is. But as it says in the Kybalion, we are the same as it, just on a much smaller scale. Right? I mean, our mind and its mind, still mind. It's just that ours is the scale is a lot smaller. But and that's why I definitely need to schedule some time in a sensory deprivation tank. And if you've ever done it, please put in the comments, let me know. I mean, how did that go? And if you haven't, would you be willing to do that? Was that something you might be interested in? I've been interested in it for years. I've just never really done it. And well, there was a time where I lived, there wasn't one. There was one about an hour away, sensory deprivation tank place. But now there is one where I do live, so I don't really have any excuse anymore besides the fact that I haven't scheduled the appointment, and it can be a tad bit expensive. I mean, it depends. But I think it would be worth it just to get into that state and experience that, right? Not having those five senses giving me input. And then you could realize, okay, I am now know what this might have been something what it felt like when the universal consciousness had its I am moment and realized, whoa, I exist. And then began creating, and I got to believe ultimately came up with those five senses so that it could then explore. Or I'm not sure in what order that came. I'm not going to pretend to try to figure out the universal consciousness and how it created. But, if you haven't hit the like button yet, please do so, dear loved one. Since we're on the subject, because we're not, hit the like button, please. And also, subscribe to this here channel. That would be fantastic. Also, I would really appreciate that. And yeah, the sensory deprivation tanks. I think that would be fascinating. But never mind, you could get into an amazing meditative state, which there's no doubt you could. But also, it would, to me, let me know what you think. Because to me, it's like that way I could be like, now I know what it would feel like physically to just be mind. That's all, just mind. No body. No five senses, no input coming in, just only the mind and what I'm putting out. There's no really input coming in. And I think that, dear loved one, is what our purpose is. You being the divine spark of the Creator, you are bringing in input, but it had to put you out to explore itself, to explore what it would be like to be like you and what it would be like to be like me. And we are just little minions having our little experiences. But in order for the whole of the picture to be complete, see, without your experience, it's not complete. So you are of the utmost importance to the universal consciousness. It must have that in order for the whole thing to be complete. But anyway, I'm going to cut that off because that's starting to get off the subject. But yes, if you have not hit the like button, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And yes, let me know, have you ever done the sensory deprivation tanks? Also, would you be willing to? And if you did, what did you think of it? So there's that. Anyway, dear loved ones, that's what I got. I love you. I really do. And I will be back directly.